All right, it's everybody's favorite unhinged maniac with the soldering station. It's back again. And today's YouTube video is going to be about this 1989 Marshall 2210. It's a JCM800, the 2210, the split channel. So it's got the high gain channel and the clean channel. And it's not really working too great. And I want to see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. Let's just spin it around and, oh, okay. I found the source of the problem. All kidding aside, so what do we have here? We've got a 1989 Marshall 2210, and it's clearly a project. Let me get this out of the way. Now, this was actually given to me by a buddy of mine, Rob DeAntonio at Jaded Faith Mods over in New Jersey. I was hanging out in his shop a couple months back, and I forget what we were even doing there. I think we're working on my Igniter Mod 100 that I since sold. And he had this sitting up on the shelf collecting dust, and it was basically, it was about halfway gutted as you see it now. It had, this was basically stripped down to just the board inside and the wiring and the choke. The iron was gone. Just a bunch of random miscellaneous stuff was missing. And I said, you know, what's going on with this 2210? What you got going on with this Marshall? And he's just like, oh God, that thing. You want it? It's yours. Get it out of here. So, as best I can ascertain, this was a client's amp, and it gave them nothing but problems. And once I actually tore into it recently, I was able to figure out, you know, kind of why they never got this thing to sound good. Probably years in the past, it was modded in crazy, unusual ways. This circuit at this point in time only had 3 1550 cap cans, filter caps. Somebody had actually drilled and mounted an additional cap can in there. And things got crazier from there. The circuit board was actually kind of hacked up. There's some unusual jumping going on underneath here. I don't know if this was because of bad traces. They wanted to do some modifications to it. Some of the component values are incorrect. This is kind of screwy. Now, I don't really know the reason why some of this stuff was done. And in fact, to that point, I should make mention of the fact that I am not an expert. And if anybody out there has been getting the false impression that I am, you are wrong. And I've been doing a hell of a job totally snowing you. I actually know very little of what I'm actually doing. I'm making this up as I go, and I'm learning. You're seeing me learn about these in real time. So while I could sit here and criticize the curious things that were done to this board and theorize that that's probably why it never really sounded good, so people were basically chasing their tail, I definitely don't have the technical expertise to even make such a thing work. Even if it made the amp sound bad, I couldn't have made it work at all. So I couldn't really even tell you why some of these things were done. But I can tell you that this deviates from the stock spec quite badly. The reason why I know that is because I've got here the actual Marshall schematics, okay, from 87. It looks like it was revised in 88. So the 2210 series underwent a couple of different revisions over time as the decade went on. They had issues with channel bleed and them just not sounding good. They played around with the circuit. Allegedly, the last few years of this model were the best sounding ones. This is 89, so we're talking the last gasp for the JCM800 run and the last gasp for the 2210. So theoretically, this should be the best sounding version of it, although right now, you know, it's not doing anything. What I've done is I've forced myself to get familiar with learning how to read schematics and tracing schematics, comparing them to the board, finding where all the components deviate from stock, finding where I can get all these components to basically rebuild this amp completely to hopefully better than factory. So all the components are on order. I'm going to be keeping the Drake choke. I had to get a power transformer and an output transformer. I'm ordering those from Mercury Magnetics because I'm an idiot and apparently I like spending too much money. I've got all the other parts coming from Valve Storm, new everything, and I'm going to be utilizing the head cab, the chassis, the board, and the choke. Everything else is going to be all brand new, all new wiring, all new everything, new tube sockets, new everything. Here's what I don't know. I don't know if I can pull this off. I'm making the video anyway. I'm going to post it. This could end in failure. This could end in me having the thing all together and being stumped as to why it doesn't power on, and me having to enlist help from friends of mine who know more about amps than I ever will, like Rob DeAntonio, like Lane Sparber, absolute experts in the field, really awesome guys and really helpful guys. But I am going to try to take this as far as I can take it. Part 2 will be me assembling it once all the parts get here. Part 3 will be me powering it up and either letting all the smoke out of the box or getting that Marshall roar. And part 4 maybe will happen if I have to get somebody to help me. But I don't know which direction this is going to go yet, but I'm gonna give the old college try and see if I can make this thing a monster again. But I figured I'd make this video to show you what I'm starting with, and it's not a whole hell of a lot. So stay tuned for part 2, and don't expect that for at least another month. All right.